When we were kids, fairy tales were an important teaching tool to give us bigger lessons about that big wide world out there without giving us the actual gory details. I mean, I'm thinking of the little boy who cried wolf, Pinocchio, the Pied Piper of Hamelin, but even maybe things on even a more graceful note like Santa Claus. Then, of course, there's stories that older brothers would pass down to their younger sisters. On the first day of second grade, I was walking my first grade sister to school, and I told her that the nuns, who of course had habits, big hat, black hats and white things here, and black flowing robes. I told her the nuns were really witches. I must have gone into some detail about it because I don't think my younger sister was quite happy with school that day. I think I may have created a hostile learning experience for her. And I still get reminded of that a few times a month by one of my brothers or sisters. But as we get older, the fairy tales get a lot more complicated, a lot more involved, a lot more dangerous. Like this fairy tale we're hearing out of Columbus, Ohio. A Republican state legislator in Ohio says that too many black students are being suspended from school for no reason whatsoever, and that is causing, the cycle of poverty.
Tonight, state lawmakers are looking at getting rid of school suspensions and expulsions for young students.
NBC4's Ohio State House newsroom reporter Jason Audrey tells us how that measure would work.
If passed, the legislation would give schools 4 years to stop out-of-school suspensions for students in pre-K through third grade.
The achievement gap has been studied, and efforts to reduce it have failed, according to State Senator Peggy Lehner.
Well, the fact is, after 20-some years of testing, we are looking at the exact same thing we were looking at when No Child Left Behind was first instituted.
Lehner says the reason the gap is not closed has nothing to do with the quality of schools or teachers, and more to do with how certain students are kept out of class by suspensions and expulsions.
In 2015, more than 36,000 children across Ohio were suspended for 3 days or more.
Of those, more than 90% are economically disadvantaged. 65% of them are African American boys.
Already academically behind, suspensions only push them further and further behind and leave them feeling unwelcomed in the classroom.
To turn this tide, Lehner is introducing the Supporting Alternatives for Fair Education Act. It gives institutions of higher learning time to create curriculum to educate future teachers on how to handle behavior problems in the classroom, something teachers say they are not trained to do before graduation.
Now, to be clear, the bill does not eliminate out-of-school suspensions and expulsions for dangerous or violent outbursts.
Okay, that's the fairy tale. Here's the reality out of Harrisburg. Teachers in chocolate high schools in Harrisburg are being assaulted by black students, so much so that they're quitting. Nobody's paying attention to them. It's turning into a nightmare out there, but we've done lots and lots of stories about Harrisburg, so let's just add this one to the list.
Yes, well, I spoke to the president of the teachers union. She says that students have assaulted teachers and not enough is being done about it. Now, the president says that the violence that's taking place in the classrooms also includes students fighting other students. She says teachers have asked for support from administrators, but they have not gotten it. Jody Barksdale is the president, and she says from July of this year to October, 45 educators have resigned, and there's a fear that resignations will keep coming.
Whenever I have teachers coming to me crying and saying that they don't know if they can take it anymore after 20 years of teaching in the district, that concerns me.
Now, the teachers union, the president of the teachers union says this is not a district-wide problem. This is happening at some of the schools. She also states that teachers are expected to confront the school board on Monday. At this time, the district has not released any comment.
And here's a story out of St. Louis where the teaching environment is so dangerous, so toxic, the teachers can't go force themselves to go to school. Now remember, to be a teacher, this is something that, it's kind of a lifelong thing, right? It's usually not the kind of thing that somebody just, says, okay, I'll put an application in over here at the manufacturing plant. I'll put one over here in the police department, and I'll put one here at the school board. No, if you want to be a teacher, you pretty much know you want to be a teacher. I mean, people are standing in line to be teachers all over the country. I've heard a couple of my friends tell me about their kids just got a job as a teacher. And it was like, man, they tried so hard and they had to go here, they had to move there. They got lucky, they got in. And they really feel lucky to be a teacher. But in St. Louis, the conditions are so bad, they have to force the people to teach. And when they can't do that, they sue them. Of course, the teachers union stepped up in St. Louis and reminded everybody that the reason these people do not want to go back into their classrooms is because of because they're in urban areas, high challenge, uphill battles, toxic environments where teachers are getting punched in the face. How many stories have we done out of St. Louis exactly like this? I mean, and Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. There's a ton of stuff on teachers being assaulted by students. I remember one story out of St. Louis. They just kept doing one story after another. And it was one teacher after another was saying, yeah, this student beat me up this way. This student attacked me that way. This student, called me all sorts of graphic and vulgar names, then took out a bottle of perfume and sprayed it in my eyes. I'll never forget that story of that teacher in Baltimore. We just talked about this in a video the other day. I mean, this guy was as shell-shocked as anybody coming back from the front lines of Iraq or Afghanistan. A white guy subjected to black violence in his high school, and all he wanted to do was stay in his house, close the curtains, and just kind of vegetate in the dark. I mean, that was his life. Out in St. Paul, Minneapolis, we've done lots of stories about black violence in schools there. Some of it involving the Somali immigrants, others just some of the fellas. We did follow one story about a teacher, and he was worked over pretty good by one of his students, got some permanent physical injuries. And when he told the school board his story, nobody really wanted to hear it. He sued them. I think he got a couple bucks, but it was kind of anybody really paid that much attention to the toxic environment inside these schools. Well, now somebody's paying attention. The same guy who got worked over, who became kind of a lightning rod to tell people what's really happening in their schools in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And his message was, hey, he wasn't really as explicit as this, but his message was, hey, it's not the little fairy tale that we're hearing from the public officials and the reporters who are in denial, deceit, and delusion. These schools are dangerous places, and we're not allowed to discipline our kids. And the schools are now dangerous for students and teachers every day. That's surprising. But what's even more surprising is part of the story that actually snuck into the paper. And I just don't remember seeing reporting as this explicit. Even if it is kind of coded, I don't remember seeing stories this explicit in any papers out there in St. Paul, Minneapolis. Let's just go through a few paragraphs. The meeting with this teacher and members of the Trump administration comes almost 4 years after a letter from President Obama's Education Department discouraged schools from suspending kids for nonviolent misbehavior and warned against punishing students of color more harshly. In a January 2014 speech, then Education Secretary Arne Duncan said adults, not kids, are responsible for high rates of suspension in certain schools and states. The huge disparity is not caused by differences in children. It is caused by differences in training, professional development, and discipline policies. It is adult behavior that needs to change, he said. Critics of the letter say real difference. Now, okay, here's the money graph. critics of the letter say real differences in student behavior are driving the disparities and that the focus on suspension data has made schools more dangerous. And the paper even said this letter may be a smoke signal coming from the Trump people that they are getting to rescind that letter. You know, to their credit, the people in the Obama administration, they did not wait around to do this. I mean, it says the letter was issued 4 years ago, but from day one, everybody in that administration everybody, not just the education, was looking at the world, was looking at their department through the lens of race. Whether it was the Department of Defense, where they were at military academies, they might still be teaching this. They're teaching white privilege. Of course, they have lots and lots of set-asides for minority contractors. The Environmental Protection Agency was talking about environmental racism. Of course, the Department of Justice, lots and lots of black people in prison for no reason whatsoever, parentheses, other than white racism, on parentheses. I mean, this is a very, very long list of how they looked at the world. So we've heard that fairy tale for a long time. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. I mean, we've been documenting that here for a long time, right? I mean, just check out my the playlist on black violence in schools. I mean, it's just astonishing how much of it there is. And if Pippa Biddle or Dr. Marvin, Brian Marvin, they want to say we're cherry picking this, there's so many cherries, and they don't even have one cherry of white mob violence in schools. I mean, it's just astonishing how much of that there is. So let's look at a couple recent cases just to remind people. You know, we already heard the fairy tale. Now let's be the one to tell them that no, there is no Santa Claus.
Boy, look and listen to that. Breaking now, this video just into our newsroom showing an all-out brawl at Woodland Hills High School. And Channel 11's Mike Holden live now. And Mike, this happened, we understand, in the middle of a classroom?
Yeah, David, you see the video for yourself and you can spot those kids yelling and screaming over what is happening before their very eyes. This all captured on a cell phone at Woodland Hills High School right here behind us. District officials confirming all of the details and telling Channel 11 tonight those two boys have since been suspended. But we want to give you a better look at the video, so take a good look right here. Channel 11 obtaining this video late this afternoon. Watch for yourself. You can see fists flying. The video shows two boys fighting in a classroom as their classmates cheer them on. At one point, the shirtless student jumps on top of the other and is seen punching him over and over again. Then that same boy picks up a podium full of school supplies and slams it on top of the other boy. Students are heard screaming in the background. Now, we reached out to Woodland Hills officials and the superintendent told us the following, quote, "The students are being dealt with and both are suspended. The teachers appeared before the board last night to express their concerns about the high school." That all coming from Al Johnson. Now, back out here live, it is unclear if either student needed medical attention or if security will be increased at the high school following this incident, as well as several others in the past. We're going to work to get you those answers for 11 at 11 tonight.
To the LAUSD, bullying is not okay. Security, safety, everything, says the school district. But in this story, it was cell phone video that was everything.
This is Kylan fighting the one individual.
One of two students, Tara Melton, says her son had to defend himself again. Kylan Stanley is a sixth grader, 11 years old. She says her son was bullied on the Hart Middle School campus by other students. The bullying escalated to a fight. Happened twice, she says. Because it's mostly kids in the video, we're blurring the images, but it's vivid to Kylan and his mom.
They've called him fat. They talked about his hair. They talked about his face. They wouldn't leave me alone. So one boy jumped on my back and tried to like he choked me.
She complained to the school, went to the police. Nothing changed. She kept her son home, did some homeschooling because he says he was too scared to go back to the real one.
I feel like someone is gonna hit me or like someone's going to bump me in. I just feel scared.
When we arrived at Hart Middle School, we first encountered 2 women from the school district. They didn't comment, but the LAUSD sent us a statement saying the district takes all matters concerning school and student safety very seriously. Melton didn't agree with that assessment, which is why she came to us for help. I showed the video to the new assistant principal, and he told us something would be done about getting him to another school. About an hour and a half later, we saw Tara Melton at the school. She says officials here wanted to talk to her about the video. What did they tell you inside specifically?
They said that they're going to place Colin at another school and hopefully today have it resolved.
And it took what to get them moving?
It took 3 weeks of phone calls, Channel 11, and calling the police.
And a video?
And a video.
If you hadn't had that video?
If I hadn't had that video, it might not have moved as quickly as it has now.
Now, at the end of that cell phone video, you can hear another kid that was apparently taking the video on his cell phones laughing.
How about this story? The local station was trumpeting this huge video of a huge fight, and lots happens. It's been happening a long, long time. So I'm sitting there going, oh, good. I can't wait to see this video. Scroll down. There it is. Plop on it. Oh, surprise. The video's been removed. This next story out of Bakersfield was also very interesting. This comes from our viewer. One of our viewers on this channel drove this story 100% in Bakersfield. God, there are so many good viewers on this channel. I just wish some of you guys would start your own YouTube channels like this guy. You're going to see what this guy did in a minute to get to this story. But if you guys think it would be helpful for me to do a video, it'd probably take about probably the video would be about an hour. It would be kind of soup to nuts about how to do your own YouTube video, how to make the videos, how to do the sound, the lighting, keeping it real simple, how to post it and tag it. If you think that would be useful to you, let me know. If I get enough responses, I'll put one up. Because I'll tell you something, these videos, whether they end up on YouTube or somewhere else, they just cannot be denied. Anyway, let's take a look at what our ace correspondent out in Bakersfield did. I mean, he kept hearing. So the first thing he said to me was, "Hey, Colin, I heard in school, one of the schools in Bakersfield, some black people picked on a white kid, an autistic kid, beat the hell out of him, and then all of a sudden the autistic kid go get his big brother. Then this touched off a chain of events." Maybe this was the thing that touched it off, or maybe this was just an excuse for large-scale episodes of black mob violence. But our correspondent started going to Facebook and other social media and saying, "Hey, does anybody know what happened at that school in Bakersfield?" Well, it turns out there were 2 groups of episodes in 2 schools. And here's what the kids were saying about what happened. Okay, so there was a fight at like 12. 2 kids got into a fight in the cafeteria with chairs, and some kid broke his jaw and nose. Then they were both sent to jail in a cop car. Then like 15 minutes later, there was a fight in the middle of the quad. There were 2 kids throwing hands, and this one big white kid got in the middle and started punching everyone. Then like 5 other kids got involved. They all got taken in. Then a kid got into a fight with a teacher about 5 minutes after that, and the kid pushed the teacher, and she fell and hit her head on a pillar and was unconscious in the hallways. And at the same time, there were 2 kids that got into a fight with a security guard, blah, blah, blah. So let's just pick up a couple of comments almost at random. WTF? I know a student that told me it happened as well. 40+ students were involved. Then some of the other students were going, "Hey, who jumped you? I'll beat someone's ass." Just remember, they're pussies, bub. Stay safe. I just took off my shirt, and when I did, I found a shoe print there. Then I think a parent chimed in and said, the blacks decided it'd be a good idea to start a race war with whites and Hispanics. Here's a guy that says, "Yeah, I was walking around the corner with my friend, and I see 3 black people pushing and picking on my friend. Then one hit him in the back, so I went to go have his back. Next thing I know, they have me on the floor, and they start kicking me." Then one guy was gone. Then the students are commiserating with each other about who got punched, who got suspended, etc., etc., etc. I can't open my eyes. My vision is blurry. Man, I'm sorry, man. My eye hurts. Pablo, are you good, G? Then we start getting into some more colorful language. Lame ass shit. Someone snitched saying I had a 38 snub. Got stuck in the dean's office almost all day. Same here, man. Deans all day. Then some of the alumni chimed in and reminded everybody, hey, man, if they were there, that stuff wouldn't be happening, man. They'd be too scared to mess with me. Yeah, tough guys are all over the internet. Another guy, I got hit on my way back to class by 3 of them. They was in the hallway. And they seen me and went off on my ass. So we could do this all day long, right? The amount of black violence in schools. The amount of black violence directed not just at teachers and students and nurses and people who work the lunchroom and administrators, also the neighbors, the people around these schools. I mean, in Cincinnati, a lot of school buses are followed by cops because that's how chaotic these school buses are coming out of the black schools. And so now we see at least one small bright light on the horizon. It looks like at least somebody in the Trump administration has realized the large amount of chaos and violence caused by the president's letter. It's called Initiative on African American Excellence. So hopefully they're going to undo that. Hopefully they're going to figure out, like the guys in Ohio did not figure out, if you remove consequences, get ready for the flood. Because trying to stop the flood, trying to stop the deluge of violence, chaos, mayhem that goes on in all directions all the time, stopping whatever small chance of learning anybody has. Speaking out against that in schools. Now that is going to make the black kids angry.